You win this battle, man, I'll soon be dead. I'll glue your face to my dick so I can fuck with your head. I got metaphors coming through my pores. You probably never been in a battle before, so I hope you realize your mistake. There ain't no party, got some candles, this won't be a piece of cake.
Folks, welcome to the Before Hours podcast, an internet radio phenomenon hosted by an occasional morning person. I ask the most interesting people I know about their sleep, their routine, life, love, stress, and setbacks. If you want to write to us, you may do so in one of two ways. First, you could email the Before Hours podcast at gmail.com, or you could slide into my DMs on Instagram. I am Bobby Sheehan, LOL, because you know I bring the laughter. For now, we have a returning guest. He's a comedian, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, a good man. Welcome back to the podcast, Ben Kirschenbaum. How are you, Ben?
Great to be here.
Now, is it short for Benjamin?
It is short for Benjamin.
Okay,
yes.
That's the first question I was thinking of.
Oh, you got it.
As I was walking over here, I'm like, Benjamin, do you have a middle name?
Aaron.
Ooh, oh my God, you're so Jewish, which I think is great.
Okay.
Which I think is amazing.
I felt that you thought it was great. You said that with just joy in your heart.
Yes. Yeah. You're Jewish. That's how you got to, when you find out someone's Jewish, you have to say it like that. Go an octave higher.
Aaron is Jewish, but you could, you're making it sound like it's like Ephraim or something like that.
No, it's not. It's not that. It's not. You're right. God damn it. You're so right, dude. No, yeah. I know a couple Gentile Aarons. You know what? I haven't met many Jewish Roberts, though.
My uncle was named Robert, and he was Jewish. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Shout out.
Let's get into that.
Ben, Robert Kirschenbaum?
No, Robert Levine. So more subtle. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. I love that. Like Adam Levine. Man, this podcast of yours is absurd.
You mean this episode?
Yeah, so far.
Yeah, the Maroon 5 reference I thought was one of the highlights. That could be a clip.
Oh, man. So, dude, I was listening to our old episode in preparation for this one.
Okay. Just to not repeat it.
Which is, listen, I'm going to repeat stuff.
Fine.
Because I have a dog shit memory and it's getting exponentially worse.
Okay.
I turned 34.
I'm also 34.
Yeah.
Yeah. What month?
August 30th.
I like how you said it slowly, like I was about to say the same day.
Yeah.
August. I'm April 20th. A little older than you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. A few months older. Dude, I was a preemie. I was born 2 months early.
Get out.
I was such a sick little baby, dude. Yeah. Yeah, I held my breath so they'd have to cut me out open so I could keep the pussy pristine. I'm sorry, Mom, if you're listening. But
it's a great ad-lib.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I was being all traumatic. And I was born in so you're an East Coast guy, a native New Yorker.
Yes.
I
know where you're from. You're from upstate New York.
I'm from upstate New York, baby. Yeah.
What was the name of the town?
It's, you know what this is? This is like as last seen on the Before Hours podcast. And we just quickly.
Does it happen a lot?
I don't know. But I'm not from Patterson, New Jersey, but I was born in Patterson, New Jersey.
Okay.
No, soy blanco. I cannot be from Patterson, New Jersey. But holy moly, that's the hospital that I ended up having to go to because that's where my mom's broke, surprisingly, right?
Oh, just by chance.
She had they were on vacation. A lot of my family is from North Jersey and they happened to be somewhere near Patterson on a family thing.
Lovely vacation.
Her water broke. Dude, the story is actually a little bit insane.
Please tell me.
Well,
we didn't talk about this last time. I know we didn't talk about this last time. Okay.
And if I did, I'm sure if I forgot, I'm sure our listeners forgot. Although there is at least one listener out there. I'm not saying as if I know who this person is, just mathematically, there's one person that's going to listen to the episodes back to back to be like, they fucking repeated themselves and then maybe sent me a death threat. But I'm so unknown in the comedy and podcast world that any attention is good attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
I could see that being the start of something.
I got a death threat on Facebook. This is how long ago this was.
Are you being serious?
My first death threat on the first of only a handful.
When was this?
I definitely was doing comedy, but it was before.
Okay, well, what? Comedy stuff makes sense, but you got death threats before even doing public.
No. That's what I'm saying. It's like it was based on a post of mine on Facebook. This is how long ago. I'm trying to place where it was. Right. It was after 2015 because I was doing comedy, but it was before whenever everyone was using Instagram. I didn't have Instagram yet. That's how long ago this was. But I was putting my thoughts on Facebook, and I had this entire Facebook status of how I don't want the statue of Robert E. Lee taken down because I went back in time and through a time machine And so the premise of the bit is I'm talking about time, right? Which will be important for later, folks. So
You wrote this, or this was on stage?
I wrote it on Facebook. It's
Okay.
a Facebook status.
Yeah.
That's why the guy threatened me on Facebook.
Gotcha.
And the whole bit was basically I went back in time and I met Robert E. Lee, and he told me that the reason he loved slavery so much is because he had a cuckold fetish. So then me and a bunch of Confederate generals all gangbanged his wife together.
But wait, I'm sorry, I'm being an idiot. Why does that explain why you like slavery?
I don't know. I'm doing a bit. He needed to enslave black people because he needed them to be subjugated so that when they all came on his wife's face, it was that much more exciting.
Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I went all out, dude.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted to be like, I hate Robert E. Lee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess that bit ultimately doesn't make Robert E. Lee look good, and he's a villain in history.
He's a villain in history.
So
now I'm a villain in your history.
So what was the death threat? What other than I want?
Yes. So it's about time, right? The time machine. So it's actually a very good, clever death threat because this guy on Facebook that I did not know, he just like found it somehow. Right. I think he literally searched Robert E. Lee on Facebook. And he I'm not criticizing how people use their time.
To learn. Yeah. Okay.
So he wrote, he's, by the way, old man. I looked at his Facebook, just old guy, right-wing memes, right?
Right.
And he wrote in response to my Facebook status about time, I see a baseball bat in your future. And it made me laugh because it's, first of all, he's not going to find me. He's not. Yeah, it's actually it's like a good riff, I think.
It's on topic. I don't know. Good riff.
Yeah. I didn't report it. Someone else reported it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I saw it was like hidden. You know how like if
did you have a chance to respond if you wanted to respond? Maybe
no, I figured I would just enjoy it. I don't know. I don't mix it up with the rubes online, really.
It depends.
Yeah.
So I'm already. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely gotten some mean comments. I posted, so this was not to do an early plug, but I've got a special coming out, and it's already uploaded, right? Yeah. So you can already write comments. You can't watch the thing, but you can already write comments. And I got a few anti-Semitic ones that were. It felt like there was nothing to respond. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, one was really unhinged.
Really?
One was like, you Jew bastard. This my thing is coming out on Mark Norman, a bigger comedian's page. So they're like, who did you, basically like Hollywood Jews control things, and that's how they get on this page. And I was kind of flattered that he thought I was like a Hollywood Jew. That was kind of nice.
Yeah.
But so that one is like you delete that. But if there's something about someone's comedy or something like that. You know what I mean? Like if it's anti-Semitic, it's anti-Semitic. I'm not going to go, what am I going to do? Change someone's mind. But for a few comedy ones, like insulting my delivery, jokes, whatever it is, that's fair game to respond, I think.
Yeah. I just don't know what one gains from responding to anything that's not fun.
Yes. If it's pure hatred, then yeah, where's it going? I just don't like... you just go down
some of my more popular like reels or YouTube shorts. A lot of comments will be like, this guy has a Jimmy Fallon laugh. And it's like, well, I do like to laugh. I'm sorry that your life is devoid of joy, but I laugh.
Yeah. What is that with comedians who don't like to laugh?
It's weird.
I mean, if comedians who don't laugh that are jaded or whatever, fine. I mean, laughter is a reflex. You can't control it. But when people are like judged for not wanting to laugh, is that like a comedian thing where it's like comedians were above everything?
I like laughing. That's why I do comedy.
Yeah, it's the whole point of
really
life.
Also, it doesn't. If you're like a comedian that prides yourself on being like, I'm so smart, I know how all jokes work. I don't laugh anymore.
You don't. No, you don't.
And also, you know what it is? It's just that you're so supremely high in neuroticism. That's all it is. You're not like a brooding artist. You're just like you're insecure about your laugh, probably, or you can't fully pay attention to fun entertainment because you're ruminating. I could see
You're
someone.
talking about like you have someone in mind in particular.
Dude, I have several people in mind.
Really? You're
Yeah.
seeing their faces as we say this?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
tell me after. Yeah.
Like in The Sopranos when Tony sees the people that like he wants to kill, he sees them.
Remind me.
Dude,
I haven't watched the show in a long time.
I am rewatching The Sopranos.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Maron. Such a good episode. Such a good episode. I mean, such a great series, dude. I get
Did you
obsessed
watch,
with
talking
shows.
about mob TV/movies, did you watch the Offer, I think it's called, about the making of The Godfather?
No.
Miniseries?
No.
Okay. I watched the first episode.
Mhm.
Thought it was pretty good, although it doesn't feel real. Maybe your listeners can put it. Did they lie about a lot of these stories with like the actual mob? I'm not sure,
Mhm.
but I like mafia stuff. I don't know where I was going with that. It just reminded me.
We're East Coast guys, dude. Of course we're gonna like mafia stuff.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much anything that you throw at me.
So I was born in Paterson, New Jersey
Yeah.
because I was a preemie.
Yeah.
Because my mom's water broke when she was near Paterson.
Right.
And they took my mom away in an ambulance. Right.
Okay.
And the paramedics, before they did that, were like, this is a routine preemie situation. It's not a big deal. It's not an emergency.
Well, how premature were you?
2 months.
2?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. It's why I'm such a compact gentleman even today.
Are your parents taller?
No, my mom's like very tiny. That's probably the actual. But my dad's short too. But he has my dad's short too. But he has like a big body. I think I would have had a big body if I had like enough time in the womb.
Like overweight, you mean? Or
No, like broad shoulders.
big bone. Okay, yeah.
I think people underestimate how important broad shoulders are.
In terms of swimming or
Sexual attraction to the opposite sex.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I guess swimming too.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, broad shoulders. It's also, it is one of those things. I mean, I'm sure if you work out enough, you can kind of get it, but
No, you can't change your bone
not
structure.
really, right?
Yeah. So anyway, my dad was in the car behind the ambulance.
Okay.
Right. And they were in a red light. And then all of a sudden the ambulance, the lights start going on and they run the red light. And then my dad, because he's not an ambulance, he couldn't run the red light. And he was like, what the fuck just happened? Because what had happened was when we were at that red light, when I was in the ambulance with my mom, is I stopped breathing. And they're like, we got to get this little boy to a hospital right now.
Oh no.
So this is 1990, no GPS or anything. So my dad is like, I don't know how to get to this goddamn hospital. So he's driving around asking everyone in Patterson how to get to the hospital. And Patterson is like The Wire, but worse. So
is that true? Okay,
yeah, it's terrible. No offense to anybody listening to Patterson, but if you are, please be careful.
Yeah. You can't insult it. That's your hometown.
Yeah.
You can say it. Yeah.
That's so very funny, dude.
Yeah. You spent the day there. Yeah.
Yeah. I spent the day in Patterson. My dad, when he finally got to the hospital, he walked in. Yeah. And he was in the emergency room, and there was a guy with a giant Puerto Rican flag t-shirt that had just been stabbed. Like that was my dad's introduction to Patterson.
Oh my God.
Is like a dying cholo.
I was picturing that was part of the shirt.
Yeah.
It was just a racist Puerto Rican thing that you just incorporate. That's rough.
Yeah.
But 7 months. Okay. That's really early, right? I'm not just.
Yeah. And especially in 1990, it was an emergency. We both almost died, my mom and I.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, thank God that didn't happen. What?
Thank God it did happen though, because I'm an only child and therefore I get the
I'm an
bulk of
only
the-
child. Why do we knew this, right? Only children born around the same time, similar
Damn,
area. Both love history.
Yeah.
Started
Both
comedy
handsome.
almost the exact same time. Both handsome. Both
Yeah.
started comedy around the same time, I think. You said
Wow.
2015?
2016. Yeah.
I think that's me exactly.
Oh, spring of 2016.
I think summer.
Oh
Yeah.
My God. Oh my God. I even started earlier than you, and you have a special and I don't. I have to get it.
I didn't say it was any good.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even watch it. I did leave one really long comment about some things I think about you in the media, but
yeah. I
other than
assumed that
that-
was you. There was something about it that,
see,
seemed like it was from a premature.
anybody that would
Yeah.
anybody that would roll their eyes at being like, hey, anti-Semitism is still a problem, just has to know that all this person knew about your special is that you had a Jewish last name.
Well, that's the thing. While it's being uploaded,
Right.
all you see is the name.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, by face,
Right.
similar argument, but
Hello. I
uh,
was more of a Poindexter than a Jewish. voice just now.
I thought it was British.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't do voices. I really can't. Well, I can do the Chinese one very good, but audiences hate it. They think it's most dishonorable. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. That probably does suck for impressionists that specialized in impressions that are now not PC. And you're just, it's like a, bowling
I went
pin
to
operator.
Harvard and I minored in Chinese speak. I mean, I can't do it.
Yeah, it's just an outdated profession.
What was the process of, because I've never gone through it. How do you got a special?
Yes.
What's going on with that? How did that all come together?
I decided, so I did it with New York Comedy Club and Pinch Records, which I guess is just like an album company that works with New York Comedy Club. And I decided I gave myself like 7 or 8 months between deciding to do it and actually performing it. I don't know about you. Like, I hope the thing is good. Obviously, I hope your viewers watch and enjoy. But a lot of it was like, I like deadlines. I was feeling a lot like with stand-up that without deadlines, I kind of wasn't writing as quickly as I would like, and I wasn't reaching out to bookers as much as I should have. And this kind of gave me a, concrete date, so that therefore I had to do those things or else the product would suck.
Yeah.
That's very, just making it all about me, but whatever. And then filmed it in New York Comedy Club in April, edited for a few months. And the editing process is fucking painful, watching yourself over and over again.
Yeah.
And then obviously for the actual editor, Chris Metcalf did it, who was like unbelievable. He's got to watch my face over and over again, frame by frame. I can't imagine what that's like.
I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
It's awful. And yeah, now it's coming out. Or I guess by the time this comes out, it's already been out.
What's it called?
Best Picture.
Ooh, Best Picture.
So I do a thing that is similar to the thing I love that you do, the last words, the presidents. It's what would you call that? Like controlled crowd work? Like it's technically crowd work, but you've got things in your back pocket.
Yes.
So I have that. Another thing that we're similar about is I think we just know a lot of kind of random trivia about subjects that we like. And I know every Best Picture from the Oscars. Give me a year, I can tell you which movie made that year won Best Picture.
Ooh, 1990.
1990 was Dances with Wolves. Ooh. So that, that kind of
boring ass movie.
Yeah, terrible. But Costner, not even that good looking in that movie. What's the point of it if he's got the mustache? Okay, whatever. But, and also it's just Last of the Mohicans. The story's been told a million times,
Also, if anybody is in the process of making a movie, it doesn't make you a genius to make the movie over 3 hours long. You don't have to do that. Why don't you make a good movie that's an hour and a half long so I could watch it and then do other stuff afterwards?
Are there any 3-hour movies that you like?
There are. Like, I love The Irishman. Okay. I loved Oppenheimer. You
loved Oppenheimer?
I really liked it a lot.
I wasn't a big fan of Oppenheimer.
Really?
Honestly,
What are you, Japanese?
No, but I support them. No, nothing to do with that. I think that the security clearance stuff, I don't care. You're making a movie about you could argue, most important invention ever, right? You should do even if it's 3 hours, the whole movie should be about that.
Really?
I also just feel like Oppenheimer I read the book too before watching the movie. The guy himself is he's not that interesting of a guy. Like, there's got to be a better entry point into the Manhattan Project.
Isn't he kind of a lunatic, though, which is fun? When someone's a genius, yet also a lunatic?
We don't know. And I guess there's something interesting about that ambiguity, but it's also like, I think he was just sort of a, on the spectrum guy.
I think he beat somebody up on the New York City subway.
Is that true?
Yeah, I don't remember the specifics of it.
Huh.
Why he beat somebody up.
That's something. Why didn't they show that?
I don't know.
They're too busy showing that, that they're blacklisting him and accusing him of being a communist, which he doesn't deserve a security clearance.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he deserves to be in jail, but like, you're going to give a security clearance, all the top secrets of the country, to a guy who had was fucking every communist and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things. It's almost like how does the expression go? The gun is always loaded, right? So that's an expression that gun owners use. Basically, you treat every gun as if it has a loaded bullet in the chamber, right? Because the consequences of pointing a gun at something important or another person and it going off, that's why you got to act like every gun is loaded.
Or else
right?
you get an Alec Baldwin.
Unless you're an Alec Baldwin dude.
Yeah,
That's the thing is like, that must have been so satisfying if you're not even a conservative, you're just somebody that
likes
knows
that saying.
Yeah. If you're just like, if you're a guy that knows anything about guns and then Alec Baldwin's like, hey, if you have a gun, you're an idiot. And then he's like, I hate guns and I'm such a liberal. And then he breaks the first tenet of gun ownership and kills somebody, which is sad. But then he's in so much trouble. If you're even somewhat right of center politically, that's got to be so satisfying.
Yeah.
I can't even think of the equivalent. All right. I don't know. Sarah Palin having to have an abortion. I don't know.
The idea was just too funny for you. Yeah. You just couldn't handle it. Yeah, that was my beef with Oppenheimer. Mm-hmm. I didn't dislike it. And obviously, the scene of the bomb going out, the Trinity test is like, very cool.
Yeah.
And how it was silent and whatever. So the best picture thing. So what I do is I have the audience yell out a year. Mm-hmm. I say the movie and then I have some sort of joke or at least something entertaining, hopefully, to say. Mm-hmm. And in the special, it's a 10-minute bit in the center of it. So filmed 2 shows. Between the 2 shows was able to cover, I don't know, like 15 or 20 movies. And there's only 96. So pretty good. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You're a movie guy.
Love movies.
What's your, do you have like a Mount Rushmore of movies?
I like old movies.
Black and white.
Got a little pretentious stuff. Some black and white. Yeah. Not silent.
Okay. Yeah.
But what do you like? I already fucking ranted about Oppenheimer, so I'm sorry if I.
No, Oppenheimer's okay. I mean, really, I gravitate away from long movies just because I don't have the attention span.
Of course, yeah. And it's also like if a movie, I mean, comedies are generally pretty short anyway. But think about a movie like Fargo, which is funny, but like not a comedy. It's an 1.5-hour movie.
Yeah. And
it gets done what it needs to get done in an 1.5 hours.
Yeah.
It's also one of those things where it's like you don't pay more to see a 3-hour movie than you do an 1.5 hours, right?
True.
So it's like, just get it done.
Also, anytime I've seen a really long movie in the theater, I do inevitably have to pee at some point.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing I hate more. Well, maybe like genocide. Yeah, probably genocide. But other than that,
missing the genocide in a movie because you have to pee. Or yeah, because I was going to say, I mean, if it's Schindler's List, that's a long pee. Yeah.
You can, actually, I do like. Speaking of genocide in movies, I like Hotel Rwanda. I think that's
great performance.
Great performance. Yeah. And I love because I forget who I was talking to about this, but they were like, it's so arbitrary. Right. Hutus and Tutsis. Who cares? I'm like, well, if you're far enough removed from a conflict, that's how you're going to feel about it regardless. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Like aliens aren't going to understand why black people and white people don't get along.
Right.
To them, it's like, if we went to another planet, we wouldn't even begin to understand why they didn't, like, different sects didn't like each other.
Totally. And I also think people will find a reason to get into groups and hate each other. I mean, it's human nature. That's why, like, people have those bits where they're like, oh, what we need in this country is for everyone to be mixed race and all that stuff, which I'm not ranting. I believe in mixed race couples. I'm just saying that.
Can we clip that, Connor, please?
I believe they exist is what I mean. No, what I'm trying to say is that I don't think that would solve every issue in the world. People find reasons to fight. You think of like, Muslims fighting Jews or Muslims fighting Christians, but then also Shia fights Sunni. So it's like, there's always going to be.
You had 3 examples and the perpetrators were Muslim in every one of them.
No, I mean, yes, fighting is a word that means back and forth.
Yeah.
I just meet Muslims ruthlessly attacking Jews. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Fuck.
They make great food though. You can't argue against that.
Who, Muslims?
Oh, yeah. Well, Arabs. Most of whom are Muslims.
I was just in an Arab country for the first time in my life.
Where did you go?
Tunisia.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Tunisia. It's in North Africa.
Yeah.
It's an Arab country.
No.
Majority Muslim.
I also just said it to redeem myself from I'm not
You have to.
not Islamophobic. All right.
Yeah, you can't be. Yeah.
So I was in Tunisia.
Mhm.
Yeah. My cousin is married to a Tunisian guy.
Ooh.
So we were visiting his family,
Okay.
who we had never met before.
So tell me about Tunisia, dude. I don't know anything about it. They speak Arabic there?
And French.
And French.
And Tunisian, which I guess is the dialect, but that's most similar to Arabic.
Mhm.
Although one of those dialects where they're like, oh yeah, it's so different we don't even know.
Oh, okay.
Where,
It's
so
like-
like probably sounds kind of similar to someone who doesn't speak either language, but they're like, yeah, I don't even,
Mhm.
it's way too different.
Dude, we so lucked out that all we have to do is speak English. Out of all of the privileges one could have, we talk a lot about privilege in this generation.
Yeah.
A native English speaker, chef's kiss, dude. There's nothing better.
Have you ever been to a place where you genuinely had trouble getting by with just English?
A little bit. When I lived in Prague, I would travel outside Prague to like the countryside of the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
And I would be in situations where no one spoke English,
Right.
but it was fine, because I'm still, you're still in a first world country where like worst case scenario, you have Google Translate on your phone, it's not like what it used to be, and the vibe, at least among Czech people, was they were all like, I'm so sorry, I can't help you right now. Whereas like, if you only speak, I don't know, Vietnamese, and then you're dropped off in like Southern Louisiana, I don't know.
Mhm.
And they're like, all right, good luck.
Right.
No one's going to be like, you're going to go and try to pantomime or speak in like Vietnamese, and everyone's going to look at you like, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean?
Do you think if you're in a country, let's say a European country, let's say France,
Mhm.
and you speak, so they speak better English than you speak French, let's
Right.
say.
Mhm.
Do you think that it's polite to try to speak in French to them?
No, it's a complete waste of their time. What I do is I learn, excuse me, sorry, do you speak English in their language?
Yes.
And then if they say anything other than no, then I'm just like speaking in English, dude. You know what I mean?
It's annoying to them, right?
I don't care.
But no, not what you not what you said. Not what you said. No. I mean, like if you're talking to a waiter, right, and they speak better English than you speak French,
Mhm.
and you're trying to like make it so that we're speaking in French, it's
Mhm.
annoying because like we could just get through this order way quicker
Right.
if they come to you.
Yeah.
Because I know people that think of it as like, oh, you're in their place, so it's only polite for you to try. But it's like, yeah, but you're also kind of wasting their time.
Yeah. 100%. I think so. You know what? Learning hello, goodbye, please, and thank you. And do you speak English is, first of all, miles ahead of what a lot of English speaking tourists do anyway.
For sure.
Yeah. And it does two things at once. It goes like, hey, listen, I'm formally going to ask you in your language out of politeness, but like we both know that you've probably at least had some English classes in high school. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And in a way, any language class in a non English speaking country, it's the point of the class is to actually learn the language. Whereas like Spanish class in American high schools is, well, we have to try our best to keep them from doing fentanyl. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or if the fentanyl dealer is Spanish,
Right.
then it's actually easier to communicate. But I think also with Spanish classes in America, because I took Spanish for 12 years. I mean, some ridiculous amount of time.
Right.
And with my knowledge of Spanish, it's embarrassing.
Un poco.
I don't know what that meant. But I think that they teach you grammar like crazy, the subjunctive and the conditional and all these different, which if I'm going to speak, fucking the Queen's Spanish, then
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
it's helpful. But you just need, what are the nouns? What are the verbs?
Right.
And if I say like, table is good,
Mhm.
like fine, I don't sound educated,
Right.
but at the same time, you get totally what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, it's this weird thing of like it becomes more of an academic exercise than to actually. I know there's this thing in language learning classes. There's this philosophy of total immersion, Where so if you and I were in a Spanish class together and the teacher would say in Spanish, welcome to Spanish class, and then they would just start talking, and it almost emulates like what it would be like if all of a sudden you or I ended up in Honduras and no one spoke English. That's how most people learn languages.
Totally. I mean, my dad came over from Russia. He spoke tiny bit of English when he moved. He was 21 or something like that. He had to. I mean, there was no, it's survival to learn English at that point. He learned it largely from commercials are very helpful because they're repetitive and it's very simple language. Johnny Carson, like watching TV.
Okay.
And, you know, then you slowly build it up. But I think that that's, unless you have a really natural aptitude for it, that's how people learn, right? They just have to.
Also, what I never got, which I feel like I would have paid more attention in English class as a child, is if they were teaching a subject and predicate and they were like, the reason you have to learn this,
right?
Obviously you're a native English speaker and this is all intuitive to you. But if you learn the structure of sentences and like the structure of grammar in your native language, it'll make learning foreign languages so much easier. But the way they teach kids, they don't tell you why they're teaching you something.
Yeah.
They're like, well, shut up and listen.
Because it is hard to answer the question, particularly with like math and stuff. It is hard to be like, when a kid raises their hand, you know, as early as like, I don't know, fucking second grade, and they're like, why do we need to know this?
Yeah.
You're like, if you become a teacher, I don't know.
Dude, that's the thing is I think most schooling, like once you know how to read, it's like, we're just trying to teach you how to think. And what's interesting is I think we all have like different like caps of our intelligence, right? Like you learn as much as you can know. Like I think I have average intelligence. So once you
That's
like,
not true. Are you crazy?
You
think you have average intelligence?
I think so. Yeah.
No, you're way above average. That's crazy.
No, I don't think so. But I appreciate the sentiment.
Yeah.
I think it all kind of evens out. I think I'm very good at logic, which is like sounds stupid to say, but like I think.
Well, I mean, it totally depends how you measure intelligence, right? Do you mean like math science? Do you mean like social intelligence?
Can I tell
which
you?
Which is a thing. I mean, I know that's one of those things where it's like people say they have like social intelligence, and really it's like when people say they have street smarts or whatever,
right?
But it is a thing. Like to be able to read a room and all that stuff.
My biggest weak point is I think I have very little understanding of how things work.
Like what?
Like the mechanics of stuff. I
think that's a reflection of I think that's just everyone nowadays.
I think
both people. I think things, first of all, are just more complicated. I mean, yeah, I don't know how a fucking. Well, I was going to say light bulb. I guess that's an old invention, but still, like I don't know how a light bulb works really.
Yeah.
An airplane. I mean, who the fuck? I mean,
yeah. I'm not a fixer. Like, there's very few things I could fix.
That's handy. That's not intelligence.
That's a type of intelligence, though. I think.
Sure.
It might also be.
It is.
It might also be because I'm just not interested in it. Like every time I'm fixing something, I would think like I would just love to be able to pay somebody to do this because I don't care. I think you have a hard time learning something if it doesn't bring you joy.
I would actually say impossible. Yeah. I mean, I can't anything business, financial, stock market kind of thing. I just have a block. Ever since I was little, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Like genuinely. And maybe, but I kind of like math and stuff like that. So I feel like I probably could understand it at least a little bit if I had an interest in it, but I don't. So I agree with you. Curiosity that's what Einstein said. Einstein said, it was like the most obviously like bullshitty, humble quote ever,
right.
But it was something along the lines of like, I have no particular talents. I'm just very curious.
Yeah.
Which, fuck you. But still, like, you get the point.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Being intellectually curious is important. And, I think openness to experience, one of the five, part of the 5-factor model is openness to experience. And it's the only one correlated with intelligence.
Openness to experience.
Yeah. So like, how receptive you are to like new ideas and how creative you are and how willing you are to like participate in abstract thinking is all openness to experience. And it's the only one that's correlated with intelligence. So like I thought conscientiousness would be, but it's not at all.
Okay.
Because there's very conscientious people that, I mean, there are intellectually disabled people that are very conscientious. You know what I mean? And then there's like, the opposite is more romantic, where there's like geniuses, but they don't bathe or whatever,
Right.
Extroversion, introversion, there's no correlation. Neuroticism, there's no correlation. So when people are like, they do the sad clown thing, they're like, I have depression and anxiety, but it's because I'm very smart. That's actually bullshit. Yeah.
That's, yeah. Sense of humor? Because sometimes I feel like sense of humor, obviously it's hard to measure, but it could, sometimes I think sense of humor and intelligence, again, totally depends on how you define intelligence, but that's not a bad definition.
I think they could be correlated, but I
would go even further. I think they're kind of the same thing. Because if you meet someone who has no sense of humor, who's a completely one-dimensional, cannot see that extra dimension of sarcasm, of irony, whatever, they're kind of a moron, like, right? Like they don't see the world.
I don't know if I totally agree, because I used to work in law firms and I met like very smart people that because I joke around in every situation.
Right.
And the amount of times like just whoosh over their head. And these are people that would like write contracts for multi-million-dollar companies.
Yeah, I guess.
And they had like no clue.
Yeah, and probably all the people in the Manhattan Project, and I mean, they, liked the fucking fart joke, but nothing there. Great, but I just, I don't know. For some reason, I think sense of humor is a good barometer of someone understanding or appreciating the world in I don't know, more kind of complicated.
You do have to look at things abstractly to think it's funny, right? Like even watching like a show, you have to suspend belief that like the things in the show that would never happen are happening.
Right.
You have to do all that stuff. And you just have to know more information. Like I've run into the problem where, especially when you have an audience and like the youngest person is 18, the oldest person is 68, you're like, I have to say things that the 18-year-old and the 68-year-old are both going to know.
Yeah. And also, by the way, age, probably the number one factor in terms of feeling that way, feeling like, race, religion, all that stuff. If you have different races, different religions, you can probably get everyone on board,
Okay.
Age is tough.
Really?
In my opinion,
okay.
An 18 and a 68-year-old are gonna have different sensibilities, for sure.
You could show a picture of Squidward to a 68-year-old and they'll feel nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a little turned on, but that's they're human.
Do you think they watched SpongeBob in Tunisia?
There was a billboard for it.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Hell yeah, dude.
I mean, maybe it's so behind. Maybe it was like brand new episodes, season 1.
Yeah.
Some SpongeBob product, but yes, absolutely. SpongeBob is, huge.
What was it like when you were there?
It was awesome. I mean, it's a very cool place. It's a beautiful place. It's like right on the Mediterranean. It looks like any of those beach, kind of places. History guy. I don't know. Are you like a big ancient history guy?
No, not really.
Same. So, but I read like a book because we went to Rome and then Tunis / Carthage, which has a lot of Roman ruins. They have some ruins from before the Romans, the Carthaginians. That's Hannibal, right? But the Romans fucking decimated the place. So most of the ruins you see are Roman. And then maybe if you keep digging and digging, you'll find some Carthaginian stuff. But the history, for like a history person, it's like a great place. It's got like, just it's one of those places where you're like walking around, you turn to your left and there's a fucking column from, the year 0. So it's great.
And hopefully there's no graffiti on it.
Yeah.
Did you see there was a
graffiti? I don't know, but there's a lot of trash around it.
Ugh.
Yeah, which is sad. Yeah.
Dude, nothing. This is going to make me sound like such a fucking curmudgeon.
Yeah.
And maybe because I am, but nothing like fills me with rage more, that's an exaggeration, but when someone litters,
Yeah.
when an adult litters, I just want to grab them by the shirt collar and be like, are you a fucking child? Do you think that the planet belongs to you and only you?
I don't know.
You know, it's just like,
especially if there are trash cans on every block and you really.
I don't know. It's just like, I have this weird thing where I'm like, if someone walks out of a convenience store, takes the candy out and throws the wrapper on the ground, I'm like, they would be useless if society was really going through it. Like if the Nazis were back,
Right.
and we're like, all right, everybody 18 to, I don't know, 39, however it works. Like it's time. The guys littering, they're not gonna. No,
Wait,
they're going to Canada.
Wait. 18 to 39. It's time. Wait, what are we talking about?
The Nazis are back, and we have
Nazis
to
are back.
it's every man has to fight the Nazis now.
Fight.
They're on the shore.
Oh, I thought we were the Nazis in this analogy. I'm sorry. We're in America fighting the Nazis.
This one is your fault, Ben. I'm sorry. So, sometimes
As
I don't
a Jew,
explain.
I'm picturing myself in Austria. I don't think you understand. I'm not thinking about, being in New York. Okay, so we're going to fight the Nazis.
Yeah, and the guys that litter on the street, they're not going to help. They're gonna go to Canada or Mexico.
Oh, they're going to dodge.
They
Okay.
don't see themselves as part of a collective in any sense. You know what I mean?
They can't.
And I get it. America is a very individualistic place, but I don't know. It's just something a little boy does. Throw garbage on the ground.
Yeah, it's like a what's it called? Tragedy of the Commons. It's like the immediate reward. You grab that as opposed to thinking for 2 seconds and being like, well, the world would be a better place
If you were like, we'll give you $1,000 if you litter, I would, make no mistake, do it, but I would still feel guilt. I'd have trouble sleeping that night.
That's really nice.
Yeah. No, yeah. We live in a goddamn society.
Do you generally have trouble sleeping?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think you missed the point of that.
I thought you were opening it up. I don't understand. I'll give you tip. Melatonin. Have you tried melatonin?
I'm like, gun to my head. You're like, do you often have guns to your head?
Keep it loaded.
Yeah.
Treat it like it's loaded.
Mhm.
I think, I agree with you.
Mhm.
Littering is bad.
Yeah.
It's not the one that, gets me. You know what I mean?
What's the thing that gets you? Do you have one?
Me. That like really
Mhm.
pisses me off.
Because my Mount Rushmore of pet peeves is people that litter,
Right.
people that participate in noise pollution. I love this city, but I'm constantly surrounded by people screaming and playing music on their phones, and
No, awful.
yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's getting worse. I
Okay.
feel like I haven't been on a quiet subway car in maybe months.
Trying to think of a good one. Noise pollution. Yeah.
Mhm.
Very similar though, what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pollution. Yeah. People who are rude and yell at the person who's not responsible for
Oh yeah,
what's grieving them,
crazy.
which I'm sure I've done before, but at least if I see other people doing it,
Mhm.
whatever. The classic example is you yell at the person at the airport, right? Who clearly was not the reason why the plane was delayed.
Right.
And it's like just watching someone do that and watching the person who works for the airline just be like, I can't. That gets me.
Yeah. Yeah. I could have a little bit of empathy for them if they're like, oh, they're really going through it, especially in an airport. I take every Karen video in an airport with a grain of salt. Because I'm like, the airport's the worst place to be.
It drives you crazy. There's no doubt about it. But you gotta fucking scream. Go to the bathroom and just scream. I just somehow get it out, or punch the person. Just stop yelling. Stop. You know what I mean?
just quietly punch the person. So I don't have to be part of it.
It's not right. It's verbal abuse. Just
So you were at a cousin's wedding in Tunisia.
So they're already married. They had
Okay.
like a COVID city hall thing. But just meeting his family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Any culture shock meeting his family or just being in Tunisia in general? I know so little about that culture.
Culture shock. You don't. Oh, driving. Insanity.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true for, visiting a lot of places.
Right.
It was true in Rome too. Tunisia. I mean, the lines on the highway are very, very gentle suggestions.
Whoa.
Completely straddling the lines. No one has turned a blinker on since, Gaddafi died. I mean, I know it's Libya, but I think it's actually you're seen as a pussy if you put on the blinker.
Right.
Like my cousin's husband was driving. He's the Tunisian guy. And he's like, I'll put on a blinker for you guys. Like I'm driving really slow for you guys, but like, this is not making me look good amongst my people.
They see white people in the car and they're like, okay, I get it. That's why he's driving like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's why this guy is. But it's also one of those things like, I mean, you drive, I assume. If you're too passive of a driver, that's actually kind of the most dangerous thing.
Yes.
So I don't know. Maybe we just kind of lucked out.
Yeah.
But the driving was wild.
I was driving with a friend who we all had to be quiet if they were merging onto the highway.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't know if I like being a passenger in a car driven by someone that's that neurotic, I
would not be able. Yeah. You have to be quiet.
Yeah. Cause I'm merging onto the highway. It's like, oh, okay. I get that you have to pay attention when you do that, but that's the fact that you're like 10 and 2, quiet all other senses.
That's the perfect example of being passive because you have to fucking floor it.
Yes.
Which is not the instinct of a passive driver.
Yeah.
Who is this person?
Oh, I'm not at liberty to say.
Oh.
What I am at liberty to say is that when I was 16, I was hit by a bus.
16? Hit by a bus?
Yeah. So now that I have your attention, this is what really happened. So I was hit by a bus.
It's a toy bus.
Because I was a block away from my house and I was behind a school bus and the school bus was stopped at a stop sign. And then the school bus, for whatever reason, decided to back up. I think because it was a very narrow street and they had to turn, but they found out later that this poor woman was like very new to driving a school bus. Right. And I was like one car length behind her, but I didn't have enough time to react because she just started backing up. And so I just honked the horn. And by the time she processed what was happening, her tailpipe had scraped the hood of my car. Like she came very close to like being on top of my car.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the worst thing about that is the cops came. Nobody was hurt. Right. I mean, we were both, she ran into me for a second. I just like to say I was hit by a car for dramatic effect. I was inside my car.
You were inside a car. Yeah.
But there were all these middle schoolers and a nurse had to come and examine all of the little children because of New York state law that says if they're in a school bus accident, they all have to be examined. So literally a nurse had to do like a mini physical for like the 24 children that were in this bus.
A mini physical?
Yeah.
Or just like to check if they were concussed?
Yeah, just like, like I think if memory serves, they were.
When she's doing ball checks in the middle of the, I mean, what are we doing?
Checking the prostates.
What the fuck? I'm 7. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's crazy about that is a few months before, my mom was also in a fender bender with a school bus in which the school bus driver, different school bus driver, but the school bus driver was at fault. So the cop was like, I can't believe this has happened to 2 people in your family. Yeah. Isn't that weird?
School bus.
You ever been in a car accident?
An embarrassing one.
Yeah. Okay.
I was in Seattle doing some shows. I rented a car and I was killing time during the day, went to a mall and was parking, accelerated instead of broke. Right. And I drove into the little grass area between the parking spots. Yeah. Totally destroyed the car. I mean, really destroyed the car.
Jeez.
I was fine. And it was one of those moments where your adrenaline's rushing and you just become a liar. But that, I guess, just happens to me. I didn't know that until that moment. And the people from the mall came out and they were like, what happened? And I was like, this guy came from behind me and clipped me. Yeah. And then I panicked and I drove forward.
Oh, geez.
And of course it was, and then the guy who runs the mall is just like, dude, don't worry. We've got cameras all over this place. We will find the person who did that to you. So then you've got like this humiliating backing up of this blatant lie that I just said. And I didn't know how to, all I did was like, well, my memory's a little fuzzy, blah, blah, blah. And then you've got to go but my point is that when people are in situations where there's a huge adrenaline rush,
right,
I get why they just lie.
Right.
about
Yeah.
everything.
Oh, 100%. And also it's like, it's not something minor. It's like you destroyed the car.
I have no idea how insurance works. I have no idea, so I lied.
Dude, I mean, I could relate to that. It's the first and only time I've driven a U-Haul in New York City because I was moving.
That's ballsy.
And I was like, yeah, I'm going to rent a U-Haul. I'm going to save money on movers. Never again, dude. Because the thing is, I got this. It was bigger than a van, but it wasn't like, it was like this a tiny trailer. But still bigger than a car. And I'm driving down this one-way street right outside of my new apartment. It's on Troutman Street, if anyone's familiar with Bushwick. And there was an Amazon truck behind me. And I was just trying to find a way to kind of let him by, right? And then he just, God bless Amazon. They get me things that I want in under 24 hours. But this guy put his hand on the horn and wouldn't stop. It wasn't like beep, beep. It was like classic New York City.
Yeah, just awful. Yeah.
And I get it. He hasn't had a bathroom break in a few days. And Jeff Bezos is going to maybe eliminate one of his children if his package doesn't get there at time.
Sure, he's probably got plenty.
Yeah, if you work for Amazon, have plenty of children.
Yeah.
And that way the loss of one.
Make them expendable. Yeah.
So, okay. So I was like, I'm just going to get out of this guy's way because fucking, and then other people will join it. I call it sympathy honking. So now I got like multiple people honking.
Oh, like
and
a
I'm
nice
like,
honk.
Yeah, I'm like, guys, just take it easy. It's gonna add 10 seconds to your commute. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, let me just, how you don't parallel park. You just like, if you're driving a car, you half pull into a space that's too small just so everyone else can go around you.
Yeah, like a little bit. Yeah.
So I tried to do that, but like an asshole, I forgot that I was not driving a car. I was driving a U-Haul. And as I did that with the back right part of my vehicle, I clipped the front left of the car. But it was such a big, I basically like destroyed the top left bumper, like the light and everything, the headlight and everything. And so I'm like, oh, fuck. And I remember because I did that and then I stopped and I was like, well, what do I do now? And that fucking Amazon truck kept like literally didn't take, like saw me hit another car and was still like on the horn. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. And I remember because there were these two gay guys and they saw this happen. And the one guy walks up to the driver and goes, I'm not going to yell for the sake of the listeners' ears, but he goes, fucking stop. Oof. To the Amazon driver. And the Amazon driver's like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this gay man to be so confrontational with me.
But it's nice that you're the good guy. I mean, everyone's on your side.
Yeah. I mean, literally, and then he goes to me, he's like, just back up and go around. Just go around. And then I did that. And then, of course, as soon as I go out, I find a place where I could park and I park. And then this is what happens if you get in a fender bender in New York City, by the way. You want to call the police department because you're like, this isn't a 911 situation. Yeah. Everybody's fine. So I Googled like police station near me and I called and the lady picked up the phone as if I called her like personal. She was like, yeah, Bushwick Police Department. And I'm like,
who is this?
And I go, because I'm calling the fucking police. I'm like, the first thing I say is, this is not an emergency.
Yeah.
But I got into a fender bender.
Tunes out.
And she, sir, no, she says, hang up and call 911.
Yeah.
And I went, that cannot possibly be the way I should go about this. And apparently it was. So I call and I hang up and I call 911 and same thing. I go, cause they go 911. What is your emergency? And I go, this is not an emergency.
So I used to answer, my dad's a doctor, and I used to help him out at the office and answer some of his calls. And when he's not in the office, my dad's a surgeon. So when he's operating and he's not in the office, I say, listen, I'm only going to contact the guy if it's an emergency. And most of his patients are kind of these old Jews who are just fit every stereotype that you could possibly think of. And I can't, over and over again, there would be this call where I'd be like, is this an emergency? And it'd be like, well, what is an emergency? I'm in pain, which might be, some might call an emergency. And you just hear this like fucking philosophizing for 10 minutes. Emergency, the root of the word is actually you emerge. It was like, what? And, of course it wasn't. Of course they had an earache, it wasn't, but you would hear that all the time. That was almost all, not all, a lot of his patients have these like thick accents, thick Russian accents. They like going to him because they wanted the, a doctor that they can speak to. Right. In Russian. And in 2016, right before the election, I answer the call, and a woman wants to make an appointment, and she speaks, hardly any English, and she just goes, appointment for Thursday. And then she says, actually, not Thursday, make it Monday, because Tuesday, election, disaster. And it's like, that could mean a million things in 2016. I didn't ask any follow-up questions, but I don't know who she's voting for. I don't know what, or she's just saying the state of the world.
Does she know something? I
don't know. Tuesday election disaster. And so you just get a lot of patients like that. It was a fun job.
I love that, dude. That must be so stressful to like have a medical problem and also like, I don't speak English that well, the
patient?
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be terrible to, not be able to communicate.
I mean, I'm a native English speaker, and whenever I have to deal with the U.S. healthcare system, I'm like, this is the worst day of my life. Every single day. Because I'm like, especially because the weird life I live, I'm like, what insurance do I have now? Yeah. Anytime someone's like, anytime I'm like, hey, there's a problem in my ear, can I go to the ear doctor? And the ear doctor's like, I need a referral from your primary care. I'm like, no, you don't.
Awful. Yeah.
My ear hurts. Why do I have to go to a guy who doesn't know anything about ears and be like, my ear hurts? And he's like, oh, you definitely got to go to the ear doctor.
Just tell me everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Just fucking,
just hold me.
Just get anything. Pat my head.
Yeah.
Like my grandpa used to do,
That's cute.
What he would do. Very sweet.
So your dad came to the country not speaking much English, and then he had a successful medical practice.
How he did it, I don't know.
That's amazing.
It's so impressive.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's so cool. He was in medical school in Kharkiv, which has been in the news a lot. Because my dad's he's from the Soviet Union, but now it's technically Ukraine. So it's like one of these towns that change borders, him, his father, his grandfather, they're all from the exact same town, and yet they're all from different countries, kind of deal. And he went to medical school for 3 years, maybe, in Russia. Then they get over to America. My grandpa has to sneak his records in his sock at the border. I mean, like just trying everything they could to show to when he's applying to American medical schools that he has this experience. And then when he applies to American medical schools, they have these papers and they're like, I don't know what the fuck this is. Yeah. Russian medicine is not, I don't care. He's got to start all over again.
Oh, geez.
He somehow gets his way into Mount Sinai Medical School and barely speaks any English. And I guess maybe medicine was like, okay, because like you just, there's sort of some universal language with, I don't know, Latin or whatever to the names of body parts. I don't know. And then, developed English and became a successful doctor. Way more impressive than anything I've done.
Well, that's the thing is he's first generation American, so he had to do what he had to do. And you're second generation American, baby, so you could go after your dream.
Yeah, it's fucked up. It's not fair. His dream was to be a doctor. He did want to be a doctor.
Hell yeah,
it wasn't
dude.
one of these like, I'm going to make my parents proud kind of thing.
Dude, what a beautiful thing for your dream to also be a thing that will make you tons of money.
Insane.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
Yeah. I mean, to have, I don't know, tons of money, but like at least to have a dream of a job that's very, very tough to do well. And obviously it's hard to get into medical school and all that stuff. But it's like your dream is to do the job that is the traditionally impressive job.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? It's not
you
just
don't
like,
have to explain to someone what doctor is.
No, you don't. So yeah, but it was one of those things where he had a passion for it. He has like 2 twin younger sisters, and he was like operating on their dolls when they were 4 years old. He would be like, your teddy bear is very sick. Like, we got to do an operation. So like, he was a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, that's either you're going to be growing up to be a doctor or a serial killer.
Or both.
Or both. Yeah. Well, if people want to ask you, Ben, about, maybe becoming a serial killer, becoming a doctor, or even making a trip to Tunisia,
right.
How is the best way to reach you?
Instagram at Ben Kirschenbaum. Tough name to spell, but it'll probably be under the thing. And yeah, ask me any of those 3 questions, but nothing else.
Nothing else.
Because I don't know.
And I assume you don't want them to check out your comedy special, but just in case they decide to go against your wishes, where can they find it? It
is on Mark Norman's YouTube channel, and it comes out on September 19th. So it'll already be out by the time this airs. Please check it out and write something nice.
Or
anti-Semitic. I don't honestly. I just get the algorithm going. If you get, if you put the fucking horns emoji, I don't care. Just go for it. Do what you got to do.
Hell yeah, dude. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming.
Oh, thanks for having me again, Bob.
And remember, folks, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. I'm just plain Night Owls. I love you.
Thank you.